Welcome back to the Commute with So Is Your Podcast. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out last weekend and did very, very well for a non-tentpole, non-superhero, non-big budget, non-kids movie summer thing. Something really stands out about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it is that time in Hollywood. But the era of the movie star, it's obviously an era that Quentin Tarantino really likes, but it also has me thinking about today's movie era. And I really believe that Leonardo DiCaprio is the last of the big movie stars. He's never preachy, he's never weird, he's never caught up in any kind of scandals. He's just a guy doing what he does. And when it's time for him to perform, when it's time for him to do his job, he never doesn't deliver. Even if you don't like the movie he's in, he has always delivered. That's not to say there's not talented people working right now. Of course there are. There always will be. Just that era of not attaching yourself to a franchise, not being an actor that is so synonymous with a character is kind of becoming a thing of the past. And so to see Leonardo DiCaprio, who arguably is the last one, and Brad Pitt, who is one of the last, together in a movie was completely phenomenal, but also a little bit bittersweet. In an interview, Brad Pitt, who I believe at one time was the most bankable star on the planet, if not, he was definitely top 5. He thinks he's aging out of the industry, which is really kind of too bad. Too bad that he thinks that way, and too bad that he might be correct. He does believe that there are good roles for older actors and that there will always be a place for that kind of talent, but he does think the grind and the game of Hollywood is a young man's game. Even Tom Cruise seems to think that his name alone isn't doing it anymore. He could just be a freakish adrenaline junkie, but at some point something got in his head that told this guy, who's been working for decades and been making great movies for decades, not all of them great, that if he's not putting his life online every single time, people are eventually going to forget who he is and stop turning up. It seems a little ludicrous at this point, but he might be right. It's kind of too bad that the age of the movie star is going away, and the only other one I can think of is Jennifer Lawrence, who is an incredible talent in her own career, who has taken a big step back from Hollywood, and from the little bit I know, it's because of the game of Hollywood itself. I'm hoping some of this talent sticks around and keeps making movies, even if it's one every couple years, really selective process. It gives you something outside the grand expanding universes to look forward to. It gives you something incredible to watch that might not even necessarily be a thing you needed. DiCaprio himself, to further hammer my point home, took a $5 million reduction in his usual pay just to be able to make the movie. That's not something everyone can pull off. There's only a handful of these directors left. And that kind of ties into the other show that I like to do for the So Wizard YouTube, is the Direct Focus, where I'm going to be taking these monumentally fantastic directors and going through their movie careers one movie at a time in order. Currently we're doing Steven Spielberg. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. That being said, thanks for taking this ride with me. Be sure to check out SoWizardPodcast.com for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, and more. Also be sure to listen to So Wizard Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Also, be sure to check out So Wizard Podcast on Patreon. That's patreon.com/So Wizard Podcast, where you get at least one exclusive show every month just for people who support the show. Also, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Helps us grow our audience and lets us know what you like and what you don't like. We'll do more of that. We also like to hear feedback, so drop a note in the comments or drop us a line on social media. All of our social media accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. Thanks.